Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbana zidna ilma. Allahumma faqihna fid din. Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafiya wa rizqan tayyiba wa amalan mutakabbala. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. So here we are with our session number 128 for Quranic Arabic grammar and session number 9 for Surah Ar-Rahman. So I'm going to start with a quick review of what we have covered in our last session. Alhamdulillah, we have gone over a word, iza, and iza is one of the shart particle. You all know that. And I want you to know that this is an ism and we need to treat it just like any ism. And it is a zarf as well when it is an ism, and it is ismiya, shartiya, zarfiya. So like any ism, do you think it should have status? Yes or no? Yes, every ism must have all four properties, and so is ida. It also has all four properties, just like any normal ism that you will see out there. So when you look at ida, and all these eight, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, these 7 words and right in front of you on the slide, one thing I would want all the students to keep in mind, they may be serving other purposes as well. But whenever you are seeing iza as an ism or is as an ism, and the rest are only an ism, there is a lamma that can be a harf at times. So other than when it is a harf, whenever you see all these 7, make sure that you look for a sentence after them, because these 7 asma, which are zuruf or zar, which is a plural for zarf, are going to be seen as mudaf, and there is going to be either a sentence after them, which is going to be mudaf ilayhi, or they can be followed by a word which is mudaf ilayhi for them. For example, when you look at yawma and hina, these are the 2 words where you will see, you can also see an ism after them coming up as mudaf ilayhi. However, these words are also seen as mudaf for a sentence. When they come up as a mudaf for a sentence, they are going to be, this whole sentence is going to be labeled as fi mahalli jarrin, because it is taking a place of an ism that should be jarrin status. So in the place of a jar ism, a whole jumla fayel is going to be seen. And when they are going to be seen as a zarf, they are going to be called that they are nasb in status. Their status in actuality is going to be nasb. Haythu is one of the words that you are going to see as non-flexible with the ma on it. But when you have an ism, that is an ism of a time or place, remember we went over it briefly in our last session as well, that the status in that case, if it is in zarf, then the status should be nasb. I hope this is clear. If you see that these words, these all isms in a jumla ismiya, you are going to call it muta'alliq bil khabar. If you are going to see them in jumla fa'liya, you are going to call it muta'alliq bil fa'il. Is this clear, or this is very hard for you to understand? Either way, I want an answer. As a group, I want all of us as a learners of Quran to understand and memorize these 7 isms. When we went over in our previous session that you may have gone over the special, a complicated idafa or complex idafa, I have asked all the students to memorize these words, because when you will now, from today onwards or from the last session onwards, whenever you are going to see these isms and you are going to see a jumla fa'liya after them, you are not going to be confused. You are going to know that this word is a mudaf and the sentence following it I have to treat it as mudafun ilayhi, and they are going to be going in the same bucket. Okay. For example, so for example, when I see lamma followed by adaat, which is fail madin, the only one thing that comes to my mind about lamma is that now it is a condition word, it is setting a condition, it is an ism, it is zarfiya shartiya. All my students, new and old, do you all agree? Whenever lamma is going to be followed by fail madin, I'm going to label it as shartiya ismiya zarfiya, and the sentence after it is going to be it's mudaf ilayhi, and it's going to be labeled as fi mahalli jarrin. For example, here hina yarawna al azaba, you will notice that hina is light. It can be seen with tanween too in Quran, and there are examples of that too. But when you see hina, which is light followed by a whole sentence, jumla felia, you are going to label the jumla felia after hina as mudafun ilayhi. Yoma followed by jumla felia, when it is light, is going to be mudaf. It is going to be labeled as mudaf, and the sentence after it is going to be mudafun ilayhi. The status you can see is nasbin status, because this one is not non-flexible. It can show you its status. So you can see yoma is nasbin status, hina is nasbin status. But whenever it is or iza or lamma, haisu, there is a problem. But now that you have recognized them as an ism that denotes time or place, keep it that way. The status of your zarf that is coming up as a zarf, that is coming up as a detail of time and place, should be nasb. If you all have understood this, kindly type 1. And don't feel forced to type 1. You don't need to type 1 if you don't understand, okay? Because if you remember, when you were learning about special mudafs, those special mudafs that have to do with time and place are by default nasbin status, because they tell you the time and place, okay? Okay, so I hope lamma is mutalik bil it's going to be mutalik bil jawabu shart. Yes, and you will inshallah see it now. So inshallah, bismillah rahman rahim. Let's start from the questions that we were asked in our last session from our sisters. So when you see a fa, and fa is a very it shares a lot of qualities with waw atf, okay? Just like waw can be atf, waw can be istinaaf, same way fa, and I purposely put in these types of fa there, though we have not covered them all, but few of them we have covered. But I purposely put this slide there in your class slides for the last session, if you have gone over them, and please do go over them, because those are for your benefit. Because all that is because I can keep them to myself, but I send them to you all, and Sister Faiza uploads it so that you all benefit from it, okay? So just like fa can be sometimes atf, fa can also be istinaaf. It can be fa istinafiya. It can start a new topic. It can be a particle that can come in the beginning of a sentence, and after fa, the sentence that comes after fa, faul istinafiya is going to begin a new topic. There is a new conversation that is starting there. When we look at this words, فَإِذَا انشَقَّتِ السَّمَاءُ, do you think that this fa is connected to whatever is before, or this is a beginning of a new topic? What do you think about it? It's a new topic, new beginning, right? Everyone, don't feel forced. If you are not understanding it, Because previously we were learning that both the parties, both jinns and human beings, are going to be, thrown those fumes and of fire and smoke, and then they will not be able to help themselves. And then comes, the jumla itradiya that has been repeated 31 times. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. And then comes another topic where we are learning about sky. It is the topic that is following fa is about skies, right? We are learning about not only the sky, but we are learning about a day where something will happen to the sky. Yes? Yeah? We are now learning about a new day, right? So this fa, can we all label it foul istinafiya? And since we have a sentence beginning with iza, idang shaqqat, the number one type of iza that you are going to come across in Quran, there are other types of iza as well. There are other types of iza as well, but here, this iza that we are seeing is ismiya, shartiya, zarfiya. It is a noun which is setting a condition. It is a noun of time. Do you all agree? It is talking about, it is referring to a day when the skies are going to be torn apart, and then it's going to be turned into a rosy colored, just like an oil. So now you understood all this. You know that iza is followed by jumla failure in shaqqatis sama'u, and this jumla failure is going to be labeled as, what should I label it as? What's the status? Fi mahalli jarrin, barakallahu feek, my dear sisters. I'm going to take it as a right answer. It is fi mahalli jarrin because it is mudafun ilayhi or mudaf ilayhi for iza. Okay. After that, I am seeing that there is a fa that is telling me the sequence of the event. This will happen when the skies are going to turn apart, and there's another fa that is following in shaqqatis sama'u that is telling me the sequence. The fa that tells me the sequence, fakanat wardatan. This very fa, the second fa, right after izan shaqqatis sama'u, is going to be labeled as fa al-atf. It gives you tartib, the sequence of the events. Tartib in Urdu is for the sequence of the events. And taqib, something happened, and as a consequence of that, this happened. Taqib is a consequence, and is it doing the both functions? Yes or no? Type 1 if it is, type 2 if you disagree with that. And you are, we as a learner of Quran, my dear sisters and brothers, whoever is listening and is participating in these sessions, there can be a difference of opinion too, and I'm more than happy to take your what you will have to say. Okay, inshallah. So now, since we all agree that this is foul atf, whatever is going to be the status of in shaqqatis sama'u, can I say it's going to be the same status for kanat wardatan kaddihan? Because atf, one thing has to match. If atf is connecting to isms, status has to match. Only one thing, that is status, and please do not forget it. After you are done with Surah Rahman and you move on to something else, please do not forget this. The one thing that I need you to know is if fa is connecting to, if a connector or if atf is connecting to isms, they're going to match in status. If it is connecting to sentences, they are going to follow each other in status as well. Okay? If the jumla before was la mahalla laha min al-i'rab, the next jumla is also going to be la mahalla laha min al-i'rab. No status for that. But if it was jar, the next sentence is also going to be jar. Type 1 if it is clear, and so that I can move on to the next fa. Okay, alhamdulillah. So then comes another fa, يَوْمَئِذٍ لَا يُسْأَلُ عَنْ ذَنْبِهِ إِنسٌ وَلَا جَانٌ. So now there is another fa, and we have learned there is a fa that can connect jumla shartiya with jawabu shart. we all know about it, and since we all have gone over the fa'ul rabita, I hope that you all have understood it a little bit better than you may have understood it in the past. Yes or no? Yeah. And there is another name for this fa. It can also be called fa'ul baqiya too. Okay, it can be called fa'ul baqiya too. Okay, both names are correct, and don't get confused if you are given another name. Which fa is that one? Some may call it fa'ul baqiya too. Okay, so but fa'ul rabita, you can treat this fa as fa'ul rabita. However, what do we see after fa'ul rabita? What was there in the notes that you have learned, that what usually comes after fa'ul rabita? Fa'ul rabita is seen when your jumla shart is, your jawabu shart is this. So what kind of a jawabu shart? If it is an amr or nahi, you will see it beginning with fa'ul rabita, and you can see, remember when we were doing this verse, أن استطعتم أن تنفذوا من أقطار السماوات والأرض فانفذوا. So here, فاء رابطة, because انفذوا was فعل الأمر, and we are seeing فاء رابطة, right? One of the condition, right? If you see a sentence which is jumla shartiya and it is followed by jumla ismiya, you are going to say that this is, this the files, you will see a fa'ul rabita there, right? Then you can see fa'ul rabita if your sentence is beginning with qad, if there's a distance between the fail and if your jawabu shart is beginning with qad, word qad, you are going to see fa'ul rabita. If you are seeing amar and nahi, that is already covered. If you are seeing jamid af'al, if you are seeing jamid af'al, which include bi'sa, ni'ma, laysa, you will see fa'ul rabita before them. If you are going to see lan, and there was an example given to you in there, you are going to see fa'ul rabita, right? Seen and sofa, when you see seen and sofa, you will find fa'ul rabita, right? It will connect the two sentences. And ma nafiya, you will see fa'ul rabita. And then you will, when you were learning about, there was a harf, which was as condition particle, غير jazima, you will always see fa'ul rabita connecting shart and jawabu shart, and the word was amma. Remember? Amma. We learned it as a particle that was condition particle that was غير shartiya, not غير shartiya, غير jazima, right? So it's always is, you will see, it is followed by fa'ul rabita. So those are, the places where you will see fa'ul rabita. So sometimes you can, you can label this fa as fa'ul rabita, because when this happens, then this happens, right? And I did go over it. I don't see the sentence is beginning with yawma idhil la yus'alu, but still you can label it as fa'ul rabita. But one thing I would want you all to learn today, and most of you already know this, all of you actually already know this. Do you ever see jumla shartiya without jawabu shart? Does it ever happen in Quran that we are given jumla shartiya and there is no jawabu shart after it, right? In kuntum sadiqeen, there is nothing after it. There is nothing. There are so many times in kuntum sadiqeen, there is no jawabu shart after it. However, you may see something before it that can be a possible jawabu shart. The sentence before it can be your answer, right? For example, if here you see laula an hadana Allahu, if Allah would have not guided us, ma kunna linahtadiya, surely we would have not been guided, right? So the sentence before it is directing you to the possible jawabu shart, right? But to be precise, There is nothing after it. And we learn there is a jumla shartiya, and after that jumla shartiya, we see jawabu shart. Yes? So the reason sometimes it is allowed to be omitted in certain cases, and I want you to understand this with open-mindedness, that if your jumla shartiya is fail madin, there is a possibility it can be omitted. Your jawabu shart can be omitted. If omitted jawabu shart, omitted jawab can be easily understood, it is also allowed for it to be omitted. Okay, these two are the reasons where you can see jawabu shart omitted. Okay, so if you come across some Arab and they are saying that this is not jawabu shart, 39 is not jawabu shart for 37, don't be excited about it. Just give yourself a pause and tell yourself, I have seen many times in Quran that jawabu shart may be omitted, and this could be one of the reasons, that there is a jumla shartiya, which is fail madin, and it is possible that jawabu shart is not there. And I can understand that what will happen on the jawab, what could be the possible jawabu shart, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is now giving me the imagery of Day of Judgment, and what happens on the Day of Judgment is clearly understood from the context it is coming in the surah. So it can be either mahzoof, or to keep it simple, call 39 as your jawabu shart. If I say that this is jawabu shart, I can call this fayel rabita. Do you all agree? Yes, I can just simply call it this. This is my fayel rabita, and this is my jawabu shart. So if I have to ask you the status of this idha, as we have all understood that this is going to be nasbin status, and in that case, how you are going to connect these two sentences? Can you call it muta'alliq bil fail yus'alu? Can we call it muta'alliq bil yus'alu? Everyone, let me just make it easy for each and every one of you. So if I say humans and jinns, and jinns will not be asked about their sins on when will not be asked about their sins when the sky will be torn. So what is this when the sky will be torn answering for you all? Let me underline it up. Either no, it's not how it is not giving you how answer. Is it answering how, or is it giving you the time? It is answering your what kind of a question? It is answering among the 5 mafa'ilul khamsa, maf'ul fihi, bihi, lahu, ma'ahu, or mutlaq. It is the time. So it can either be labeled as muta'alliq bil fail, or you can call it maf'ul fihi. Yes or no? Can you call it? And with a clear understanding. I want you to know it with a clear understanding that you can call it either maf'ulun fihi. So the whole sentence before can be labeled as maf'ul fihi as well. In addition to all those i'rab that you have given and you have understood, you can call that this is giving you, this is my maf'ul fihi for la yus'alu an zambihi. Make sense? And this is how you should be able to connect things, and we have gone over this concept in the past as well, and I'm going to keep on repeating so everyone is on the same page. Okay, inshallah, and everyone understands how I'm going to call it shartiya, zarfiya, and when it is a zarf, it must have a position, it must have a status, it must have a role in a sentence. So when I connect these two sentences together, the role here is that it is answering my when question. So I can either call it مفعول فيه, or I can call it متعلق بالفعل. Okay. So now comes your, is everyone clear with that? Everyone with me? And should I move on to verse number 41? Why did I not put verse number 40 there? I hope I'm not missing anything. But yeah, okay, let's just start. يُعْرَفُ الْمُجْرِمُونَ. يُعْرَفُ جملة اسمية, جملة فعلية. Number 1 question. جملة فعلية. المجرمون. When I see a fail, is it معلوم or مجهول? Is it active or passive? It is majhul. In Arabic, passive is a fail where the doer is not known. Do we know who will recognize? Do we know who will recognize here? No, it's omitted because it's not important. Right now, the importance is in the action. The criminals will be recognized. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is focusing on the criminals and the action of recognition. So here we are in ignorance about the doer, and al-mujrimuna is my naibul fayel. And what is telling me that this is naibul fayel? What is an indication that this should be labeled as naibul fayel? It is raf and status. Is it marfu bil damma or is it marfu bil waw? It is marfu bil waw. Remember that? It is bil waw. If I have to ask you, just tell me one letter. Please give me waw. Don't tell me this noon is the, this is avid anit tanween. It has nothing to do with the status. It is from your tanween, as we have gone over it in the past. Okay, so this waw, the name for this waw is wawil jam'a. Just Jim, Meme, Ain are the spellings. Okay, wawil jam'a. Bisimahim. Bisimahum. Sorry. So now tell me, what is bisimahum? Bisimahum. There are one word or three words here. There is jarr wal majroor, and then there is an idafa, right? Three words here. Bisimahum. Bisimahum. Jumla failya. Jarr wal majroor is going to be muta'alliq bil fail, as you have correctly identified it. If I ask you, make a question, the criminals will be recognized by their signs, by their marks. How will you put this sentence into a question? Yes, how will they be recognized? How will the criminals be recognized, right? How? What is answering your how? But yes, wow, if you say how is hal, but what is there that is answering your how question? Mutalik bil fail here, which you were calling mutalik bil fail. Can you now call it al-hal, mutalik bil hal mahzufa? Can we call it mutalik bil hal? That this is my hal? Yes or no? Right? It makes sense how it is going to be labeled now as hal, because it is answering very clearly your how question. How will the criminals be recognized? They will be recognized by their signs. It's not answering your what question. It's not, right? It's not. If I have to make a question out of it, who will be recognized by their signs is being answered by al-mujrimuna. And how will they be recognized? It's answered by bisimahum. So I'm going to call bisimahum mutalik bil hal mahzufa. So now comes fayukhazu. Fayukhazu. What are we seeing? Another majhul. Jumla failya. Another majhul. Yukhazu. Is it madin mudare? It is mudare majhul, right? Can al-mujrimuna be naibul file for yukhazu? Whatever you have learned, apply it today. Okay. It never comes before, and yes, I agree, and I totally agree. It will never ever come before the fail. Your Naibul file, your file can never, they both should never come before your fail. Okay, so let me show you something, and you may have already seen that. If I translate this sentence as the forelocks and the feet will be seized, the forelocks and the feet will be seized. Is this going to be the right translation? Can it be the right translation or? Okay, okay. But if it was the right translation, the status, if I'm treating it as this is my Naibul file, yes or no? Just like, right? It is my Naibul file then. So, but I'm seeing a ba attached here. It is like a jar wal majroor. Do you think this jar wal majroor is acting like a naibul file? Can we call it? And that happens in Quran. When you say here, ja al muslimu, the Muslim came. Ja al muslimu, the Muslim came. But if I have to say that the Muslim came with a book, do you know what I'd have to do? I will have to add a harf. With the book, I will have to add that with in Arabic too. So what is the translation for with? With can be translated as be, right? Be can be ja'a al-muslimu bi kitabi. Ja'a al-muslimu bi kitabi. The Muslim came with a book. So just is here, in here, what is the book? What is the book? Is it a doer or an object? What do you think? Though it has a be attached, just think, but as a sentence, because in English you don't do jar wal majroor, so just think of it as doer, object, or done to kind of a business. It's an object, right? So it is kind of my mafulun bihi, right? Is it acting as mafulun bihi when I say ja al muslimu bi kitabin, right? So this happens in Quran. You will see waji'a yawma'idhin bi jahannam. Waji'a yawma'idhin bi jahannam. The Jahannam will be brought that day. The Jahannam will be brought that day. So what is Jahannam doing here? Is it acting like Naibul file? Yes or no? Right? By adding a ba, we can change. Some verbs you will see can never take any object. When you say ja al muslimu, the Muslim came. The Muslim came something. The Muslim came someone. Does it make sense? It does not make sense, right? But when I add be, I can bring something. The Muslim can bring something. The Muslim came with a book, or the Muslim brought a book, makes complete sense. Yes or no? It makes complete sense, right? Similarly, in the passive, you cannot make a word passive if a word cannot take an object. If a word cannot have a mafulun bihi, you cannot make a passive out of it. But there is a loophole. There is a way for a word to be made passive. For example, when I say I sleep, I cannot say someone something, right? So can sleep take a maful bihi? What do you think? It cannot. But if I say I sleep on a bed, the bed is an object now. Yes or no? Right? But what did I have to do? I have to add a preposition, right? Or right? Are you all understanding that I have added a preposition for it to have an object? Similarly, in Arabic, af'al that are lazim, that cannot take mafulun bihi, are made to take mafulun bihi by addition of preposition. Okay, the same. And what is your naibul file? Is your naibul file a doer? In actuality, what is your naibul file? Let me spell it. It's a done to, right? It is a done to. So it is actually your maf'ul, right? Do you agree? Do you all agree that this is your this was actually your done to or a maf'ul in Arabic, right? But it is just taking a role of a file. It's acting like a file, but it is not in actuality a file. When I say the Jahannam will be brought, the Jahannam will be brought. Is Jahannam the doer of an action? It is a done to. It is a maf'ul, right? It is a maf'ul. So, but it is, or here you can see Ji'a bin nabiyina wa shuhada'i. The prophets and the witnesses will be brought. So somebody is calling them the doer. Is there any mention of doer? Here, they are done to. But did you notice how Ji'a is a passive? For those of you who don't know, Ji'a is a passive. So here, bin nabiyina wa shuhada'i is acting as naibul file. In English, you can easily see that the prophets and witnesses will be brought. The prophets and witnesses are naibul file for Ji'a. Because why is this Ji'a in this form? There is a reason. Do you notice? What is the form for this fail? Who can tell me? Is it huwa, hiya? What is it? Number one, it is majhul. And number two, it is huwa. Right? Do you notice that? Again, in here, you are seeing and brought within the view the day is hell. I'm so sorry. That's it. Okay. So just by us, in Quran, we are seeing a preposition is added, and the preposition with the added preposition, the ism after with the preposition is acting like a naibul file, right? It's acting like a naibul file. And this is a way that is where you will see lots of naibul file in Quran. For example, nufiqa fi sur. So what is fi suri? The trumpet will be blown into. So the trumpet is the naibul file for nufiqa, right? It's a naibul file for nufiqa, but you are seeing it as fi suri. You are seeing it as jarr wal majroor. So you cannot call that jarr wal majroor muta'alliq bil fail. You are going to correctly label it as it's going to be naibul file. You are going to call it majroor lafzan marfu muhallan. It is taking the place of an ism that should have been a raf in status. For example, what is the status of naibul file? When we learn about naibul file, it should be raf in status. So if I asked you what is in actuality the status of Jahannam, it should be raf in status, right? It is raf. So it is fi mahalli raf in, and but how you are seeing it is jar in status. But why is it not with a kasra? Who can remembers? It is partly flexible, or it is mamnu min as-sarf, right? It is a partly flexible ism, right? We all remember that. So that's why it is not bi jahannami, because it is partly flexible, it cannot take kasra. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay, so now comes your, again coming back to it, we have not finished it. Now you are seeing bin nawasi wal aqdam. Bin nawasi, is it an, is this an nawasi or al aqdam? Are they broken plurals? They are broken plurals. Are they human broken plurals or non-human? How are they treated? Non-human broken plurals should be treated as single feminine, right? Single feminine. But how is it treated here? The verb, the verb that you're seeing, or actually not a verb, fail mudare is, fail mudare majhul has a pronoun that is huwa, right? Fail mudare majhul has a pronoun that is huwa, and that is what is the rule of muta'addi bil harf is. Its condition is, you will see the fail is always going to be in the huwa form. The fail is always going to be masculine. Masculine huwa is the form of the fail that you are going to see. You will see a masculine singular fail, a fail majhul that is has huwa in it. Okay, that has a inbuilt pronoun huwa in it. No matter what the gender of naibul file is, despite naibul file works just like your file, right? It matches in number and gender. It not in number, it matches in gender with a fail. Yes or no? But in this case, what you will see is there is no match. When I say waji'a, does it have a ta sakun at the end? Is the fail huwa or hiya? It is huwa. But jahannam, what have we learned about jahannam? It is feminine, but because the fail has been made to take maf'ul, which is coming up as naibul file by the use of a preposition, it is not allowed for the fail to be in any other form but in a form where it has huwa in it. Okay, it can only take naibul file, which is, it can only take naibul file which can be jarr wal majroor when it is huwa, when the pronoun in majhul fail is huwa. Is it clear to you all? I know it's a hard concept. It is how you are going to make any fail mutaaddi. For example, when I say zahaba, zahaba means he went. Okay, when I say zahaba bi nurihim, he went with their light. Or I can also translate it as he went, he took away their light. By adding this b, I made the fail mutaaddi. I made it have a object attached to it. Otherwise, if there was no b, it was not possible for the fail to have an object. By adding b, I'm able to add an object, okay, to the fail. And this is the whole concept of mutaaddi bi harf. Okay, for you all to, yes, it is written on the mutaaddi bil harf. Okay, so that's the name of the concept. And the number one thing is for you all to remember is, when I have to bring any naibul file by using the same concept, my fail must be in the huwa form. Okay, no matter what the gender of naibul file is. I hope this is clear, and you must know the basic rules. My dear sisters, if you know that your naibul file must be after your fail, you will never give it a wrong translation. And I'm not saying that all those standard translations have a fault. Not at all. No, there is always a way. You want people to understand things as well. Okay, it's the translation is so that not everyone is doing grammar, hardcore grammar, right? So for that, to keep everyone on the same page and to make things easy, they translated the way it is understandable to each and every one of us. But here we are seeing yukhadhu and al-mujrimuna is not after it. Therefore, I am going to call bin nawasi wal aqdami jar wal majroor, and I'm going to call this jar wal majroor lafzan. By looking at the structure of the word, it is jar, but it is marfu muhallan because it is naibul fayel for yukhazu. And how am I going to connect an-nawasi will aqdam? What is the connection? How am I going to connect it? Through atf. Do not forget this fragment, okay? Al Aqdam is matuf. You are just going to call it matuf, and it will be understood that both are doing the job of being grabbed. Okay, and they are both being affected by the action of grabbing. Okay, is this clear? Okay, and this you will see it many times in Quran, and if you give the whole explanation, just like I told you that this is majroor. Yes, I know this is majroor lafzan, and your naibul file is raf in status, so that's why I'm saying that this is marfu mahallan. When you look at this verse number 43, what kind of a sentence are you seeing here? Jumla ismiya. Okay. Hazihi. What am I going to call hazihi? Real quick. Ismul ishara, mubtada. And after a mubtada, what is the next step? What should I look for? Should I look for fa'il, maf'ul, mutalik bil, or should I look for khabar? Yes, I should look for khabar. Do I find one? Jahannamu. Is Jahannamu the khabar? Why is Jahannamu not with a tanween? Why is there not any tanween on Jahannamu? Why is it not? Because word by default should be with a tanween. By default, word should be heavy. Why is it not with a tanween? No, it is not mudaf. It is not mudaf. It is mamnu min as-sarf. It is partly flexible, and partly flexible cannot take tanween. They can never, in no situation, they are going to be able to take tanween. Are we seeing anything after Jahannam that you can connect it and that you can connect Jahannam with? Ism mawsool. What kind of ism mawsool? In the in the session before the last session, you learned about a very special ism mawsool. It is coming up as a sifa. Barakallahu feek. Yes, they are mawsoof was sifa, both singular, both feminine, both proper, and allati is mabni or non-flexible. But if the rough works for me, I'm going to call it rough. So they are making mawsoof sifa. I have taught you, you can divide your asmaul mawsula according to standard categorization of asmaul mawsula into two types. They can be this and they can be that. Is it very specific ism mawsul, or what do you think about allati? Or is this very non-specific? Is it, who remembers the type? It's a special one. So the special one, the name for the special one, if you have forgotten, let me remind you, is al-mukhtassa. Okay, it is the name for the special one was al-mukhtassa, and please remember it because I have spent a lot of time making this slide. Okay, mukhtassa and mushtaraka. So this is from the category which is called mukhtassa khas, the khas one, the special one, right? So allati is a special one. Okay. So it's from the mukhtassa category, and it is connecting. And after you have ism mawsul, you look for what? Do you look for silatul mawsul? What kind of a silatul mawsul do you have? Jumla failure, yukazibu is fail mudare, marfu bid dhammatu zahira. It is rough in status because it is ending with a dhamma. If it was ending with a fatha, it would be nasb in status. If it was ending with a jazm, it would have been majzoom in status. But by default status is rough, which is yukazibu. And yukazibu is a type of a fail that has a pronoun in it. The hidden pronoun in yukazibu is huwa. And when you have a fail with huwa, should we look for outside doer? Yes. You do. And do you have one? Do you have one? Al-mujrimuna. This al-mujrimuna, which is marfu bil waw, because waw is there, and the name for this waw, again, if someone can type in Arabic, waw al-jama'a, not jama'a. Jama'a is with, there is an alif after meme, and there's a ta marbuta and the end. This is waw al-jama'a, and this is a waw of plural, and this is a waw that tells you the word is a rough in status, and this is an outside word for yukazzibu. Biha is going to be jar wal majroor, mutalik bil fayel, and this is your entire sentence. Now tell me, what's the status for this sentence? Yukazzibu bihal mujrimuna. Every sentence we look for status, as we have been doing it all over, throughout the course. Yes, it has no status. It is la mahalla lahu min al-i'rab. It has no la mahalla laha min al-i'rab. It has no status. Okay. When I talk about these two sentences, yuraf al-mujrimuna bisimahum, was this a new beginning? Yes, Sister Ambreen, barakallahu feek. Yuraf al-mujrimuna. What do you think? Is it a new beginning? When we were looking at this, yawma la yus'alu an zambihi an insum wala jan, people will not be asked. It's kind of a new beginning. So right, we are going to call it jumla istئنافية, because the sentence without a preposition, not a preposition, without a harf can also be استئنافية. So you are going to label it as jumla istئنافية when you have any new beginning. When you have any new beginning of a topic, should it have any i'rab? What do you think? It should have no i'rab. La mahalla laha min al-i'rab. Just like jumla ibtidaiya, jumla istinafiya is also la mahalla laha min al-i'rab. When you have a fa, which is connecting the two sentences and they are connected to one another, so the same way, yukhadhu bin nawasi wal aqdam is also la mahalla laha min al-i'rab. Is this clear to all of you? And there's a very interesting sentence coming after, and you do not want to miss it. Yatufuna bainaha wa baina hamimin anin. Yatufuna. What kind of a sentence am I looking at now? Jumla fa'liya, fail mudare. After jumla fa'liya, I must look for a fayel. And who is the fayel? Now tell me, who is the fayel? If I asked you, just give me one letter. And this fayel is visible pronoun waw. Name for this waw is waw al-jama'a, as Sister Shameen has already written. Yatufuna, waw al-jama'a is the doer. In tatufuna, the same is the doer, but ya and ta, the difference between ya and ta is going to help me decide if it is they or you all. I am seeing ya at the beginning. Alamatul mudare is ya, so it is going to be translated as they. Bainaha wa baina. It is going to be your zarf, right? So it's zarf, right? Baina, special mudaf of place, right? Between it and between boiling water. They will circumambulate between it and between the boiling water. So bainaha idafa, waw'at, baina hamimin, another idafa, and hamimin anin. Can you connect these two together? Mawsuf as-sifa. And this whole entire construction, how am I going to connect it to yatufuna? In jumla fa'liya, what can I call it? Mutalik bil fa'il? You all agree? Or you can, Sister Diba is saying that I can call it bainaha as hal as well. So do you agree? How will they rotate between it and between the boiling hot water, right? Both ways, it sounds right? Both ways, but the thing is, this jumla has a status. Now think about it. Who are going to do this job? Who is going to be circumlating? The jumla is fi mahalli nasbin. I agree, but Aisha, Why is it nasbin status? Why am I going to call it nasbin status? The whole sentence, why I'm going to label this jumla failure fi mahalli nasbin? Why? Because this is hal for al mujrimuna, or some may say this can be the hal for Jahannam. This is a condition of Jahannam that, it will, the criminals are circumambulating between it and between the boiling water. And both ways, it's going to be correct. Okay. Do you all agree with that? If I'm saying that this jumla halia is describing the condition of criminals, I have a pronoun waw going back to al mujrimuna, because this waw is talking about al mujrimuna, right? And if I say that this is the condition of Jahannam, I'm saying the hal is there, which is going back to Jahannam, right? I hope this is clearly understood by each and every one of you. So the next verse, if I have time, if I am okay. So now this, when you started like this sentence, this is Jahannam, isn't it? Like, yeah, we can pause. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yes. That's a good idea. Yeah. Let me pause here and let me take if you have any questions here. There are a lot of new concepts, yes or no? Or you have gone over them briefly before? Yeah. Yes, they can be new. So what are your questions? Do you have any questions about these new concepts? Are they, are you understanding them, or are you still confused about those things? Last time? Sure. يطوفون بينها وبين حميم آن. يطوفون فعل مضارع والفاعل واو الجماعة, right? The doer is they. بينها is a zarf, and when you have a بين zarf, you can label it as متعلق بالفعل, وبين واو عطف, بين معطوف على بين ما قبلها. بين is again حميم, بين حميم is an idafa. حميم آن, matching in all four properties, are making موصوف والصفة. Okay, this sentence is giving you a picture of criminals. How will you see criminals on the day of judgment? Since it is answering the question how, you are labeling the entire sentence as hal of either al-mujrimuna, or if you think about it, how will you see Jahannam? You will see that the criminals will be circulating between it and a boiling water. It can be jumla halia for Jahannam as well. Whenever we have a hal, we must have a ism that is proper, and we can see both Jahannam and al-mujrimuna are proper. When we have a hal, we know our hal is either nasbin status or fi mahalli nasbin. When you have a sentence or a fragment, you can call it fi mahalli nasbin. And when it is just coming up as an ism, one ism describing condition of something, you will be seeing it nasbin status. Sister Afsha, are you with me? Jahannam is proper because it is, yes, there's no doubt it's a proper name of hellfire, right? It is proper name of hellfire. That is why it is being described by allati. Allati is proper and Jahannam is proper, right? They are matching in all four properties. Jahannam is muannas samai, and allati is, is a feminine word because ta is there, right? Is a feminine for allazi. Alhamdulillah. I hope all of you are with me. And just like Sister Afshan did not hesitate to ask me a question, you all should not. So the status of, Sister Rabia, I want you all to, inshallah, be trained with the status of entire sentences. Why am I doing it? It may not be, it may not be done by many, even in the intermediate level students or advanced level students. But I want you all to understand this concept little by little. It may be something very French for you at this stage, if you are not a French speaking person, but inshallah, with practice and practice and practice, just like you have a sentence that is rough in status because it is a khabar, right? Just like in jumla ismiya, jumla failure is a khabar, you call it fi mahalli rafin, or the status of that jumla failure becomes rough because it is a khabar. Just like a sentence which describes the condition of something or a state of something is fi mahalli nasbin hal. Just like when a sentence comes up as mudaf ilayhi, you call it fi mahalli jarrin. There are sentences that are going to be, not no they that will have no place in Arab. There are not going to be any status for them. You cannot call them rafa, nasab, jar, or jazm. Okay. So what was the last question? As verse following, marifa ism isn't hal for al-mujrimuna. Yes, it is yutufuna bainaha wa baina hamimin anin. It is hal for al-mujrimuna, as we have covered it already. But it can also be the hal for Jahannam too. How will you see Jahannam that day? You will see that the criminals are circumambulating between it and boiling water. Is it clear, Sister Shami? It can be hal for both of them. Yeah. Okay. So with that, I think since there are no more questions, I will end the session. But please keep on bringing questions. So Rabia, you Sister Afshan, asking all these questions. It really makes, sometimes you are going to see jumlas where you will call them fi mahalli jazmin, right? Just before I end, I don't want to go above 1 hour, but let me cover it on Saturday, inshallah. So inshallah, we'll discuss it on Saturday. Right now, let me take more questions in group now. So subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.